So guys, spring has sprung. That's probably one of my favorite phrases to say because I really look forward to spring every year when all the vegetables are back in season. So to celebrate spring, I want to make a pasta primavera. In Italian, the word primavera means spring, referring to the season. So I figured, why not gather up all the spring vegetables that are in season right now and make this wonderful pasta dish. And to tie it all together, there will be a little bit of meat involved. There is some pancetta to offer that nice, salty, savory flavor. But really, the feature of this recipe are the vegetables. So just a few days ago, I went to the market here in Budapest and I picked up everything that I thought is the example of spring. So we have our beautiful asparagus, we have our peas, we have our radishes, and we have spring garlic, which you might not have seen before, but this is garlic before it matures, before the stem and the leaves dry off and you're left with just the bulb. This is what it looks like when it's green, and you can eat the entire thing. And the same goes for spring onions. This is harvested before the leaves dry off and you get the onion bulb here. You can eat the whole thing. So that's exactly what I'm going to do in this recipe, is use up as much of it as I can. With the peas, there are so many different things you can do, but I really love the sweet pea flavor in a pasta dish. And I think it really is a wonderful pairing with the pancetta as well, because you get the sweet and savory mix. And the radishes, I'm going to use the greens as well in the dish. So the greens will wilt into the pasta, and then I'll have the roots cut up into little quarters or halves, and those will also go into the pasta dish too. And radishes are really interesting because they'll keep a little bit of their peppery flavor when they're cooked, but they also are really good at absorbing flavor. So they'll absorb the neighboring flavors like the garlic or the peas or the pancetta. They're like a little sponge. So let me show you how it's done. So to begin our pasta primavera, I'm gonna prep the radishes. So I wanna give the greens a separate wash, and I'll wanna trim the roots. I'll also want to trim up the asparagus, and I'll give that a rinse as well to make sure there's no sand in the asparagus. And with the asparagus, I'm just gonna trim off the tough ends. I kind of want them to be bite-sized pieces, so I would say no more than 1 inch. So like that. And now I'm gonna soak these in some cold water to make sure that there's no sand. And now for the garlic and onion, the spring garlic and the spring onion. I've removed the rest of the spring garlic because I use that for a stir fry. I don't necessarily need so much green in this recipe, so I'm just going to use this part. So just cut off the root end. And with this, I want to say if I cut it lengthwise, like this, I think that should be pretty good. And also the spring onion. Cut off the root end. I am going to wash the greens separately because there's sometimes sand in that area. I'm going to cut it lengthwise and do the same as with the garlic. So I like to take the green parts apart, as you see, because oftentimes there's sand in these little knuckle areas. And then this also will get chopped. So I have this beautiful pancetta. It's about 6 ounces. I'm just going to cut it up into cubes. have my pancetta chopped up. I already have the pasta water heating on high. I'm going to turn the heat on under my skillet, but I'm going to add the pancetta to it cold to let it render out slowly. So I've gone ahead and drained the vegetables that I had soaking. I separated the asparagus and the radishes and the radish greens. I'm just going to finish cutting up the radishes into little wedges. So the pancetta is coming along nicely. I've lowered the heat by 1 notch just so that it doesn't burn. I want the fat to render out slowly. And the pasta water is coming along. It's almost to a rolling boil, so I'm going to add some salt just to get it ready for the pasta. In the meantime, I'm going to get our garnish ready, so I'm going to chop up some parsley, and I'm also going to add mint, which is going to add some nice freshness, but I'll leave those leaves whole since they're so small. And since this parsley was so delicate, I'm pretty much chopping the stem, everything in. For the mint, I'm just gonna choose some nice areas. I'm gonna give it a rinse. Smack it on the dish towel to get some of the water off. And we'll use the leaves whole. Smells wonderful in here. Okay, checking back on the pancetta. What I like to do with the pancetta is take out half so that I can have a crispy topping, and then leave some of it in there to cook with the sauce. So I'm going to start removing some of the crispy bits and leave some of the fatty bits behind. Okay, meanwhile, I'm going to add the pasta. And that'll take about 10 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to start adding the vegetables. So starting with the onions and garlic. And you see the garlic, how the cloves are in there. But it'll all fall apart as it cooks. And now I'm going to add the radishes. Okay, now I'm adding the asparagus. And now I'm adding the peas. I'm going to add a ladle of the pasta water just to help along with the cooking. And this will also add some flavor because the water is salted. And I really like how the pancetta that I've left in here is continuing to soften and render, and it's lending those flavors to the vegetables. And while I remember, I will add some pepper. I think pepper is a wonderful pairing with peas, especially. And this is a good time to add our radish greens, so let those wilt in. And it doesn't take much for the radish greens to wilt. They'll disappear in minutes. Even if you didn't add the pasta, this dish would be amazing just like this. Okay, I'm going to use my knife to just test the doneness of everything. The asparagus is done. The radishes are still a little crispy, but I do like that. Let me test the pasta. Okay, still a little bit al dente, but it's the perfect time to add it because you want it to cook along with the vegetables. And I'm going to add a ladle of the pasta water. So ultimately, this is your sauce. Hoppa, pasta down. Okay, I'm going to give it a little taste. It needs salt. This pancetta actually wasn't as salty as I thought, so some more pepper. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat off. Okay, and I'm going to grate some parmesan over top. Give that a good stir. And now I'm going to add the mint and parsley. And we're ready to plate. And I think I'll do cheese first. And just a little bit of pancetta on top, or crispy pancetta. So here you go, pasta primavera. It's a beautiful dish, it's just glistening. I didn't add any oil or anything to it because I think the fat from the pancetta is really all you need to make this wonderful sauce. And then it comes together with the cheese, of course, and the pasta water. But okay, I'm telling you what to expect, but let me taste it and tell you what it actually tastes like. Let me see if I can get a little bit of the radish too. I'm just going to keep eating it because I like it. The pancetta does a really good job of giving everything flavor, of uniting all the different vegetables. The radishes, like I said, absorbed the flavor like a sponge. The peas add this really nice sweetness. The asparagus is tender, and then the parsley and the mint kind of awaken the whole dish. Here's a piece of garlic. The garlic too is so nice and mellow. It's not in your face kind of garlic, especially if you don't like using too much garlic in your cooking. Really try spring garlic. It's hard to stop with this dish because it's just so pleasing. So the next time you're in the farmer's market, pick up these spring vegetables and let them inspire you to make this pasta primavera. Let me know what you think about this recipe in the comments, and please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.